The real problem you have, the real issue for you is that you keep trying to change your entire life in 1 week. You jump from eating every single thing in sight to turning into a monk who eats 1 meal a day overnight. And then you fail 2 days in, and then you start labeling yourself as undisciplined and feeling like a failure, which only then leads to shame. You're probably familiar with this. This has probably happened to you so many times. What happens after that? You feel shame, and to combat that shame and the feeling of guilt, you'll rebound to eating like shit again. You'll go back to your old ways, and eventually you'll feel helpless, which means you repeat the same cycle again and again and again, and then you continue doing this. And you never actually question it properly. You just blindlessly try again. You make all these changes again and try and change your life in 1 week. And I'm telling you now, it's because of this obsession with speed. In the 21st century, we are just programmed to want everything needs to be efficient. Everything needs to be fast. And it is because of the devices we use. Nowadays, if the delivery time of something, if you make an order and the delivery time is more than like 2-3 days, you won't make it. You'll just go to another vendor because you know they're offering 1-day delivery. Everyone is obsessed with speed. And then it comes back to social media as well. The way you consume information, you sit there and you scroll. It's all about speed. Okay, 30-second video, next video. Okay, next video. And this is why you feel this thing inside of you to try and change your entire life that you've been living for years in 1 week. I'm telling you now, that is impossible. You are never going to make a shift like that in 1 week. It doesn't work like that. It is not sustainable at all. And you've experienced it so many times before. You continue down this cycle. So why do you keep trying to do the same thing? I'm going to be honest with you. You need to drop the ego and show some humility. And stop thinking that you're above the smaller acts, the smaller changes that you can make throughout your life. Because you're not. Because those smaller acts and those smaller changes, they are still improvement from the way that you're currently living. It's just that your ego's too big and the ego hates small wins. So you try to make continuous, drastic changes to your life and it never works out in your favor. The bad habits will always remain. The current version of you, I'm just going to be blunt with you. Current version, as you're living right now, he is not as disciplined as he thinks he is. Because if he was, he would have made the change. He would have achieved the physique. He would have beat the junk food addiction. But he's not as disciplined as you think. And that's okay. That's completely fine. You won't just wake up one day with extreme levels of discipline. It doesn't work like that. Like anything in life, you build it up. So firstly, understand, stop with this obsession about everything needs to be efficient and fast. Because to undo years of damage, it's going to take a while. And that's completely fine. Stop treating this like your social media scrolls. It's going to take a while. Drop your ego and operate in that way instead. And I just want to ask you this question as well. Maybe this will give you some perspective. Say, for example, this may be you. If someone ate 30 slices of pizza a day for 2 years straight, and that's just their baseline, that's just how they operate, that's their life, and they drop the consumption to 29 a day, is that progress? So if they go from 30 slices to 29 slices, is that progress? In your mind now, something's just flickered in your mind and you thought, that's not actual real progress because he's still eating 29 pizza slices. But you're wrong. It is progress for that person. Him dropping 1 unit below every single day that is actual progress for him. Progress is relative to the individual's current state. That's what you need to understand and drill into your mind right now. Your current state, any small action towards your goal is progress. Regardless what anyone tells you, it is still progress. If you look at the definition of progress, just the removal of that and moving one step closer is progress. The first initial step is the action that will propel you to the end goal of 0 slices a day. For this person, it would be that first reduction in slice that brings them closer to 0 slices a day, what they're aiming for. The same way, if you were to add 0.5 kg to your bench press, is that progress? Some people would say, oh, it's so small. Is that even, should we even count that? Well, yeah, you should, because it's still progress. It doesn't matter. Regardless of the amount, weight is still weight. Slices of pizza are still slices of pizza. Look at it like this. Throughout the year now, if he just removes one slice of pizza, that is literally 365 less slices of pizza that he's consuming. Is that progress? Now you're going to be nodding your head thinking, yeah, that is progress. That brings me to micro changes. This is what your focus needs to be on right now, because you are not as disciplined as you think you are. And that's perfectly fine. Please just drop the ego, show some humility, and just be okay knowing that, okay, look yourself in the mirror and just say, yeah, I'm not as disciplined as I think I am, or I would have achieved the physique by now. I would have implemented the good habits into my life. I'm not as disciplined as I think I am, but I can still build it. Go with a growth mindset instead of just saying, yeah, I'm already up here when you're not really. You're just delusional. Delusion's not going to get you to the end goal. It can in some instances, but here it's not going to, because you've been stuck in the same cycle. So I had an issue, I'd say a couple of years ago, probably 2 years ago. I used to have to eat something sweet after every single meal. And I didn't fix it by stopping completely. I literally just said to myself, okay, I understand that even if I can cut out one sweet treat after one meal, that is still progress for me. Keep in mind, I was doing this after every single meal. I was having 4 or 5 meals a day. So I was eating a lot of fucking food. So I said, okay, I'm just going to cut my serving. I'm going to have one less dessert every day. So I'm going to cut it from my lunch. The ego hated it. Inside, I was like, fucking hell, this is a bit half-assed. This is just a bit stupid. Maybe I should cut 2. Maybe I should cut 3. But no, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to stick to it. I'm not as disciplined as I think I am. I'm just going to stick to 1 now, because it was a difficult thing for me. It was difficult. The ego hated it, but the results fucking didn't. Because within 2 months, I stopped feeling the need to have dessert after every single meal. I literally cut down from having dessert, something sweet, 4 or 5 times a day to literally 0. With just the act of reducing 1 unit at a time and taking a strategical approach instead of some unsustainable bullshit where I try to flip my life around in overnight. It doesn't work like that. You need to work with where you're at. Work with your current situation. Work with your current baseline. And that's what I did. When you just continue proving yourself right with these micro changes, your brain starts to shift. You become the person who always starts to keep promises. Even though they're small promises in the beginning, you keep these promises. And that is what compounds and helps you to beat the addiction overall. Even if you think they're small. Your intake trends down and your identity starts flipping from someone who is struggling, I can't stick to anything, to I actually do what I say. I say I'm going to reduce my intake by 1 and I do it. Instead of the person who comes along and says, yeah, I'm going to stop completely, and then they fail 2 days in, your brain's going to keep a track of that. Your brain is literally going to put data points into the side of, oh, I'm unable to stick to what I say. But you don't want it on that side. You want it on this side, even if it's small micro changes. Whatever point your brain can't differentiate from that. If you stick to your word and it's a small thing, your brain's not differentiating, thinking, "Oh, this is a small thing." Well, it's not. It's because you said it and you stuck to it. That's all the brain knows. So it's a good data point for you in the right direction for you to finally change that self-image and build an identity that actually sticks to their words. That's what you need to focus on. Stop going from extremes. You need to understand this right now. This is the thing that's holding you back from being consistent with the good habits, and it's going to continue holding you back if you continue trying to be extreme with everything. You don't need to take that route. Make it easier for yourself. Why are you making it harder than it needs to be? You've been struggling for years, so maybe you should take this advice, drop the ego, and just start small instead. But you're still going to think you're above this, and you're not, which is perfectly fine. So let me just drill this into your head one last time before we continue, just so you understand. Progress is relative to your current baseline, where you are right now. And the drop from just 1 can be 365 fewer units a year. And that's only if you kept it to 1. I'll go over the steps in a second, but we'll be keeping it. We're obviously going to be dropping it more than 1. But even if you just dropped it by 1, look how it compounds. 365. You're 365 times better, essentially. Is that progress? Yes, it fucking is. And more importantly, every promise that you keep, it's a vote that updates your current self-image. And then you keep compounding these, and you eventually turn into the person that you're hoping to be. The person that achieves the goal just naturally. Just you becoming that person. The goal is a byproduct of being that person and doing the habits that that person would do. So you don't even chase the goal anymore. You chase the self-image. That is what you need to work on. Tiny, kept commitments will scale faster than big, broken ones. And that's just a fact of life. If a person has 1 week of full commitment, but then after that week, he fucks it all up. He forgets everything and he slopes off completely. Who's better, that person or the person who can keep the small promises to himself and he does that consistently throughout the entire year and all those promises compound? Obviously the second person, because he's consistent. He's able, it's a more sustainable route for him. You just need to be real with yourself right now and accept that you aren't as disciplined as you think you are. I know I keep repeating that, but you need to drill that into your mind because I had this issue for so long. I always thought that I was above these smaller habits, these smaller acts. I already thought I was crazy disciplined when in reality I wasn't. And just understand that it's completely fine because we can build our discipline. And the way to build it is by starting small. I'm telling you now, you may disagree with this, but that's your issue right there. You keep trying these extreme measures that you've been doing, and you'll continue down the same cycle. You can keep trying it, but I'm telling you now, you will not get to the end goal. It's not sustainable. So I'm going to run through some actionable steps that you can take right after this video, or right now if you want. This is the way you'll actually move forward, okay? Actionable and practical steps are the way forward. Action is the way forward. So don't just take this theory in and do nothing about it. Don't be that person because that is another way to confirm failure. That is another way to stay fat. All right. So the first, brutal baseline. You need to figure out exactly what your baseline is. And the only way to do that is to log exactly what you eat as it happens. Don't judge yourself. Just as you would normally, you may already have a food log, but if you don't, start logging the foods that you're eating. Don't judge yourself, just identify the single biggest. Your goal here is find the biggest calorie leak As in the one repeating offender that you've noticed throughout the weeks that you gravitate towards. For me, it was dessert after every single meal. That's what I figured out for mine to be. Yours could be something else. Yours could be you eat too much takeout food. Perfect. Figure out what that calorie leak is, the thing that you could start to remove one at a time. Keyword, one at a time. You're going to have this thing inside you telling you now, no, I need to eradicate the whole thing. No. As I talked about before, you're not as good as you think you are. One at a time. Okay? Relax. So say you're having 5 takeout meals a day, you're going to be reducing one at a time. So the next thing, the -1 14-day rule. So you want to just reduce that leak by 1 unit. So as I said, for example, you order takeout 5 times a week. For the next 14 days at least, minimum, you must not exceed 4 takeout orders a week. And you're now going to think, that's easy. I can do more than that. No, just stick to the process, please. For God's sake, just stick to the process. The goal here is to reset your baseline from 5 to 4 instead. Okay? Got that? Whatever your habit is, track it down and you're going to reduce -1 for 14 days. All right, perfect. And another thing that you can do to help you with this is engineer friction. Make the bad habit harder than it is to do right now. So for the example of ordering too much takeout, remove the takeaway apps from your home screen. Better yet, delete the fucking apps from your phone if you know it's an issue, if you've noticed that it is one of the biggest issues that's recurring throughout the weeks. Remove Apple Pay, remove your credit cards from your phone, remove them all. And if you still can't do this, just use a 10-minute timer for when the urge kicks in. As soon as the urge kicks in about, usually I have takeout around this time of day, set a 10-minute timer and just wait for the urge to pass. All those things in combination, and I'm telling you, you'll be able to do it. Perfect. So the progression gate. If you do manage to adhere to this for 14 days, so you've been able to only order 4 takeout orders in the week, you've set a new current baseline, and you've been perfect with this, then you can remove 1 more unit. So from 4, go down to 3. If you weren't able to do that and you found yourself missing days, don't remove 1 more. Just hold and reinforce that new baseline. Don't drop from 4 to 3. Just keep trying at 4 again. Hold it and reinforce it. That's your goal. Don't get up in your mind and saying, I'm not making enough progress. Stop doing all that. Just hold it and reinforce it. You need to set your current baseline. You need to set a new baseline before you can continue. I'm telling you now, this is the most sustainable, and this is a route that's strategic. You've just been going willy-nilly about it. You've just been freestyling this whole thing. I'm telling you, go about it this way. Strategy beats everything else. And this is the way you're going to progress. Just keep reducing the units if you adhere to it. And then again, 1 more unit until you get to the desired outcome, which is fucking 0, hopefully. The relapse protocol, because this is going to happen. There will be a day where you fuck up everything. Accept firstly that you are this day will arrive, but if you can just zoom out and see that you've won more days than lost throughout the month, the year, the weeks, you essentially win that whole month. And that turns into 1 year's. Don't revert to, I'll clean this up on Monday. Don't say shit like that. Zoom out and see the progress for what it is. See the little blip that you've had for what it is. Just a small blip. That's literally all it is. You've not lost progress. You just continue. Don't say, I'm going to start next week now. Don't say any of that shit. Just stick to the -1 unit rule. Return to baseline as quickly as possible and keep stacking the daily wins. That needs to be your main focus for this. Return to baseline, -1 rule, and keep stacking daily wins. Don't think too far into the future. Stay in the now and focus on the day at hand. Focus on the task for the day. Your brain will start updating its beliefs based on the evidence you're providing it. So each day you keep that micro promise, you increase the probability to, I'm disciplined. You favor that side instead of the other side where I'm always struggling all the time. That is the end goal with this. Not by stupid affirmations and shit like that, but it's just giving your brain enough data in support of the side that you want to win. Because your brain is storing all the information. You just need to feed it the right data. Hundreds of tiny proofs over the year will beat one heroic week of doing all the right things followed by a collapse. Remember that. So you just need to build. This is literally a system that prioritizes sustainability over everything else, which is what you need in your life. You need a sustainable route. So stop trying all these other methods that you've been doing. Stop trying to change everything overnight and try this instead. I hope this helped.